Hey, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Revival Flicks, where we try to find some classic movies, maybe even rewatch them, and bring them to attention again for the younger audience and so on, so they can maybe discover or explore older films because they did have such a good quality, and I think everyone agrees with that. I'm not in the crowd that thinks that everything that it's done today is garbage. I'm not in that crowd. I think a lot of things are still being done with high quality, but there's some kind of appeal with the older movies, especially their rhythm and so on, that I still find them interesting, especially when we compare to the new productions and so on. Anyway, we're gonna talk about one here that it's not actually old; it's just from 2024. However, it's a sequel. It's a sequel to one that it's quite, I would say already, it's kind of like a cult movie, which is Beetlejuice. So we're gonna talk about Beetlejuice, which is the second one that came out last year, and I actually was surprised about this one because I didn't actually I don't remember last year having heard about like the release of it. I thought it was gonna be for this year, but I was doing a video for the channel. I think it was Irreversible, which had if I'm not mistaken, what was the actress's name? It's Monica Bellucci. Monica, I had to quickly uh, take a look at my notes here. But anyway, Monica Bellucci was in Irreversible. She was great, absolutely phenomenal in Irreversible. And then I was kind of like doing some research, of other films that she had done and so on. And then I stumbled upon Beetlejuice. Very, very surprising for me that it went out yet last year, and there wasn't really. I think I wasn't really paying attention. That last year was really a busy year for me. But anyway, let's get on to the data first about the movie. So, Beetlejuice. As I mentioned, it's a remake. It's not a remake. Sorry. It's a sequel to the Beetlejuice, the original one. Let me check out when it was. The first one was out, 1988. So it's interesting that it took such a long time to do a sequel, and I guess that's because there are some directors that are not keen to sequels. Tim Burton is one of them for sure. Another one that I can think of top of my head, Spielberg. I think he publicly already mentioned that he's not such a fan of doing sequels and so on. Even though he has like at least two. Well, it's not fully his, but anyway, Indiana Jones and Back to the Future. He was actually in the production of Back to the Future, not directing. But anyway, he's not such a fan of it. But I must say that when we watch some sequels taking such a long time to get done, I'm not sure if they have a lot of time to think about how that's going to work out. But most of the time, those sequels do meet the expectations, and I would say that this one should be the case. I'm going to get into more details later, but let's start with the data, analyzing the data about this film. So in IMDb, the rating is 6.6. I thought that was extremely unfair. I thought that was extremely unfair. I'm gonna talk about that more later on. In my opinion, it was like an 8. You know, people of course can leave comments there. Like to convince me. Otherwise, maybe there was something off about the movie that I totally missed. But please convince me otherwise that this is not an 8 of a movie. But anyway, budget was 100,000 estimated, and I think the revenue was around 300 million. Sorry, 100 million estimated, and about 300 million in the U.S. and Canada, and worldwide was almost 5 million. So it was a quite a successful movie, I would say. And yeah, as I mentioned, a Tim Burton movie, and actually, I was glad that he was the one that directed the sequel. I hate when, not, I don't hate actually. It depends really about the movie. But anyway, I love the fact that he himself was the one that directed the sequel. Let me see if he also maybe wrote. No, he didn't write it. Just directed. I mean, just directed. So it's already enough for sure. So anyone that is not familiar with Tim Burton, I doubt that anyone that is watching my channel is not familiar with his work. But anyway, for those of you who are not, or maybe the new crowd, so I'm gonna actually talk about his a bit of his work, but actually mixing up with how I discovered him. So I watched at the time that it was out, that it was released, Beetlejuice in 1988. I'm not sure if I watched in the movie theaters. I think not. Maybe like some HBO or whatever was playing at the time. But anyway, it caught instantly my attention, not only because of the aesthetics. My background is in design and so on, graphic design and so on, web design. Um, but ever since I was a kid, I was already into this, actually drawing, right? So I was already into the art. So the first Beetlejuice, I mean, it's the aesthetics there. It's like a great eye catcher. So I was already impressed about that, but also the kind of humor, which is almost kind of like a black humor and so on. It was, yeah. Actually, in IMDb, it's actually categorized as a dark comedy. So they don't use black humor or black comedy anymore, but dark comedy. But anyway, it is the kind of comedy that I love. And also I thought that the script was kind of like very out of the ordinary for like a ghost movie and so on. I mean, at that time we were probably like watching Always from Spielberg, also Ghost from the Maskies, and we had also a couple of other Ghostbusters, of course. But this one had something different about it. It was such a fun movie, so it really caught my attention. However, I had already seen a movie, a Tim Burton movie before, but I didn't know about it. I just knew about it, when, like, oh, I got so excited, about Beetlejuice, or not maybe not even Beetlejuice, maybe Batman. Maybe when Batman, because Batman was like in '89, it was kind of like one of the most anticipated films I can think of, because like in the states, they use heavy marketing and so on. So I think it was being marketed like 6 months, until the release date, and they had like strict release dates. So so I'm not sure if it was because of Batman or because of Beetlejuice that I kind of like tried to know about, what other movies the director had done in the past and so on. And then I found out that he did a, a movie that I enjoyed a lot when I was a kid, which was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So Pee Herman, it had kind of like a show, I think maybe in Nickelodeon or something like that. And then at some point it did like a feature movie, right? But actually, I mean, I wasn't so familiar with the show of Pee Wee Herman. I wasn't such, I didn't give much to it. But I watched, like the movie, it was like playing, the full day long and so on, and then I just watched it, and actually it was a very, very good movie, and I was even embarrassed, like to tell people that I actually like that movie, but it is a very, very good movie. And then everything kind of explains itself, right? So it was directed by Tim Burton. So it was an immediate surprise, and then I established, like the connection for sure with these three films, like Pee Wee Herman, Beetlejuice, 1988, and Batman. I thought, oh man, this is my favorite. Like at that time, it was like my favorite director at the time, right? I mean, I think maybe my favorite director of all time, maybe Spielberg, or Nolan, maybe no, but I think I would give more credit to Spielberg. But anyway, that's another conversation. But Tim Burton, at some point, he did become my favorite director. He had his ups and downs. I would say, some people like all his work. I do like most of his work. I wouldn't say there's like a bad film of his that I can think of, but I mean they're not all like phenomenal. I would put it like that. Anyway, anyway, he's known for, right? Batman, of course. I'm not even going to say much about it. Edward Scissorhands is probably the most iconic film that he done. Maybe even people connect more his name with Edward Scissorhands than with Batman. Um, Corpse Bride is also another one. 7.4. Actually, I must confess, I never watched fully Corpse Bride. I watched, like just some parts of it and so on. I heard it was in the theaters, playing the theaters recently. Maybe I'll check it out. And actually looking at his filmography, like to do the content, for this episode. I actually stumbled upon a film that he was highly rated of his, Big Fish from 2003. It received in IMDb 7.9 as a rating. Actually, I didn't watch this film, so I'm probably gonna check this out, and if it's any good, for sure, I'm gonna post a video here on the channel for sure. Okay, so that's for the director. Let's go now to another part of the. We'll get into the actors later, but let's go to another part of the production, which I think it's a highlight, which is a score. So Danny Elfman is the one that is responsible for the score, and I mean, you can already as soon as the film starts, you can already tell that there's something to it, right? And then again, I'm not like a big like tracker, like from I would say soundtrack composers or scores and so on. But Danny Elfman, for sure, it's I would say it's one of the most known in the industry for sure. Then I already had checked out his IMDb page and so on, but I checked out again to do this episode, and man, it's so extensive, his work, it's so extensive. And then just a few curiosities. So I think he's still married with Bridget Fonda, and he did quite a few partnerships with Tim Burton that I already knew about, but I think the first film that I knew by name, Danny Elfman, it was Batman. So Batman, it does has like a very good soundtrack. It was also done with Prince and so on, but the orchestra and march and so on, man, it's great. It's really mind blowing. I even downloaded here to while I work at a few moments and so on. But anyway, Corpse Bride, he also participated in that. And Wednesday, right? So we have actually Gina Ortega that has been casted in Beetlejuice, and Danny Elfman also did the score for Wednesday. I didn't know about that. And then of course there are also some other films that he's also known for, or very famous scores. For example, The Simpsons. So he's responsible for the Simpsons theme. So that's really curious. Mission Impossible, that I didn't know about, that he had participated in that. Men in Black, I know that he did a few maybe Spielberg Zemeckis films. So yeah, that's this guy is really like been all over the place. I mean, I think there's like over 150 films that he participated in the score, or maybe was the composer or whatever. Spider-Man, and then there was one curious movie which I love, and I was very surprised that he did the score. But actually, I do remember like the soundtrack of this film, which is Midnight Run with Robert De Niro. It's a very good comedy movie. If you guys didn't watch it, for sure it's a must watch film from Robert De Niro. It's a very different style, a movie with a very different style of his. But I thought he was great there. Tales from the Crypt. He also participated in the composing. Anyway, there were there was another detail which I was totally unaware of, that actually Danny Elfman is I think he's the lead singer, or maybe he's a part of a band that it's actually did some a few hits, which is Oingo Boingo. That was so curious. And then I took a look in the. I'm probably gonna leave a link here for you guys to see the videos, like from the typical '80s video, right? So his this band, it actually does have some like very successful successful uh, I would say, like memorable even music, so there's one which is Stay, is the one that I recognize like instantly, but there are also a couple of other ones. And Boingo also did a few soundtracks from movies that I really respect. For example, Weird Science from 1985. This is a great movie. It's like very simple movie, but it's great. And Back to School, and the Last American Virgin, Ghostbusters 2. So I thought that was a very very curious note. Okay, so let's talk about the actors. So let's start with Michael Keaton. I think there's no need for presentation there. And actually, most of the crew was from the original version, so very very good picks there. So Michael Keaton is back, Winona Ryder is back, and Catherine O'Hara, which was the stepmother, or something, right? So she's back. However, I didn't recognize her at first. She really looks so different. I mean, of course, like 88 to 2024, right? That's like over 30 years, right? So for sure, for sure, lots have gone by. And so then we have Monica Bellucci, which it was actually probably dating Tim Burton at the time. Already mentioned her in Irreversible. I think she's a great actress. I mean, she didn't have so many lines in this film because of her character and so on, but I think she has some kind of like a power there. Like she really catches attention. In each scene and so on. I think she was a good add here to the cast. And of course, Gina Ortega, which I think it was a very well picked um, strategic selection here for sure. Which of course brings in the new crowd. I hear Wednesday. I didn't watch the full series. I watched maybe the first four episodes and so on. It was good. And Wednesday, I was enjoying it, but for some reason I didn't watch it till the end. But anyway, I liked her in Wednesday, and also I did like her in this film, and I thought it was a real smart strategic selection to bring on, like, to try to bring on the new crowd, to kind of like watch, like to get familiar with what had been done in the past from this director and so on. And yeah, I think it was really really smart, really really smart. And I thought also she blended real well in with the characters. She still had that gothic, right, that gothic look or style that she has, of course, naturally in Wednesday. And I thought it was totally appropriate here. And it somehow also, I mean, she's probably going to be remembered by Wednesday for the rest of her life, of course. And actors don't hate when that happens, right? Like Harry Potter and so on and so on. But this is something that is kind of like trying to do something different, which is like another role, another impactful role that it has the same style. However, because it can be kind of like confusing, may have some positive impacts in her career, like further ahead. Now let's watch what happens here, right? Now let's get into the review about the film itself. So as I mentioned, I'm totally not aligned with IMDb rating, which is 6.6. In my opinion, this is at least an 8. I'm not sure if it's like I'm such a big fan of Tim Burton and Beetlejuice, but what I thought here, I mean, the goal that I think it was proposed, was like to like a Beetlejuice revival. I think that was accomplished in this film. So I think I would say that it it stayed true to the first one. Not only like this aesthetics, but also the style of directing, the style of the film, the style of the humor, and so on. The editing, even at some point, at some level. So in that aspect, I thought it did a real well job on trying to maintain the connection with the first one. And also, I must say that it kind of like brought it even brought some modern aspects to it. I cannot say a lot about this, but you can tell that the movie is like in today's day. It's not like something that they maybe did that it could be like in uh, any time that it had passed. No, it's like today, like the contemporary world. So I thought they did also a very well job, like in mixing that with the with what had happened in the past and so on. And at some points, even like the new crowd making kind of like fun of what had been done. So I thought this kind of like merge was really well done, really well done. So I must say, probably wasn't easy. It's a very slippery slope. Between when trying to accomplish something like that, to not get a good result, and messing it up completely. But I thought not. For example, there are some scenes that were constructed, still using like stop motion. If you remember, in the first one, there were some scenes that they used stop motion, and of course, Tim Burton in stop motion. I mean, who knows his work knows already that he has like a passion with that style of animation. Anyway, I thought it was like a big win for them to insert some of those scenes in stop motion. There were great surprise special appearances. I'm not gonna say who. I hope you guys uh, don't take a look at the IMDb, for it, like not to spoil, like some of the surprises. I mean, I was totally surprised because I try to not even watch trailers, when I know that I'm gonna watch a movie, not even trailers I watch. But anyway, yeah. So I at first I think it did a real good job on making that connection and modernizing, and secondly, I also thought they actually thought about, like, there's not only one story occurring, there are like three stories in parallel occurring. So one is kind of like a true crime story. Another one is like more metaphysics and so on. There's kind of like a prequel inserts. I thought that those were the best, actually. You know, try to show a bit of the origin. How Beetlejuice came to be and so on. Man, I was really really surprised with everything that was going on in terms of, like, stories. It's not like a huge, like, complex or plot. A complex, well thought out plot is it's not I wouldn't go so far, but I would say that the stories are like, they're they are peculiar enough, for the Beetlejuice world, and they stay true to the theme, exploring the universe, the Beetlejuice universe, So yeah, for that aspect, I thought, those two aspects alone, I thought it did already an amazing job. You know, there were maybe, I don't know, one or two scenes that were kind of like predictable, but I mean, they had to do it. Something that you would expect. At some point you would expect that something like that would come around, and it did. And I think it was just like maybe just paying homage, like to the fans and so on. So yeah, so I was excited about this movie, and I would for sure suggest watching, especially if you like the first one. I don't think you're going to. I don't think it's a letdown as a second one. I think it did a solid job on holding up. There was one hilarious scene that I cracked up badly, which was the Soul Train. I cannot say anything more about it, without giving spoilers. But they did an awesome job with this for sure. Yeah, and also like I was also still impressed with Tim Burton's like signature style of directing. I think he maintained in this movie. Uh, I think he kind of also me yeah I would say that he for sure he did a better job than in the first one for sure, because I mean the first one he was still unexperienced, but it was still a great movie. But in this one maybe because the actors, they were so mature, I mean Winona Ryder, Michael Keaton and so on, so only these both alone, I mean, she did Stranger Things, Winona Ryder. So bringing in all of that experience, I think it did really something with the film that I would say is kind of special. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm being too nostalgic about this film, because I was so excited. But in my opinion, when I realized that like the IMDb rating, which I think it's actually most of the time accurate, the IMDb rating was like 6.6. I was kind of going into this film with low expectations, but I must say I ended up satisfied with the result for sure, no doubts about it. Yeah, and for anyone that is curious about, knowing about this special character, I would say if you didn't watch the first one, I would say watch the first one and then watch this one. But I mean, it's not a must. I would say that, right? It's not a you don't need to watch the first one and like to get everything that is going on this one. There are a lot of references, like explicit references, that you're probably going to know about the plot. But if you have the time, watch the first one, and also put yourself in the mindset of 1988, if I'm not mistaken, and understand that things were not as easy, to execute as they are today, So it was groundbreaking. I would say with aesthetics and so on, it was groundbreaking for the time. And yeah, impactful new characters, bringing in the new crowd with Gina Ortega. Yeah, I think it did a good job, or at least what its goal was, right? So again, thank you for watching, and I hope and I hope any of you or all of you get a chance, like to create your own channel and put, review of favorite movies or old classics that you guys want, other people to see, and also explain why and so on, so we can have like a healthy debate in the internet over classic films and so on. I think yeah, I think it's fun. I'm having fun doing this. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.